What if the world's most powerful military stepped into Venezuela, not with a full-scale invasion, but with a limited intervention? What if Washington's goal was not to occupy the country, but to strike, disrupt, and control key areas of the Caribbean for a few weeks or months? And the bigger question, could Venezuela's mix of outdated hardware, scattered militias, and improvised defenses truly slow down the American war machine, even just a little? Let's break down the scenario known as Option A. This is not about winning a decisive war, but about forcing the U.S. to spend more time, more money, and more effort than expected. Imagine Venezuela's objective being simple: avoid quick defeat, bleed the clock, and hope the costs force Washington to hesitate. But is that really possible in today's world, where the U.S. Navy and Air Force dominate almost every battle space they touch? To understand this, we need to compare the two sides. Venezuela brings to the table a force that looks intimidating on paper. Between 100,000 and 200,000 militia members who can be mobilized in local defense. Roughly 150 towed artillery pieces and 200 self-propelled or truck-mounted guns. 4 to 8 coastal missile batteries designed to keep enemy ships at bay. 50 to 100 man-portable air defense systems and perhaps a few short-range Pantsir-like units. 150 to 300 armored personnel carriers, and maybe 50 to 100 old T-72 or even T-55 tanks. 200 to 500 small drones ranging from reconnaissance UAVs to low-cost FPV suicide drones. 20 to 40 patrol boats. And stockpiles that could last 6 to 12 months of limited fighting. Not a weak force by regional standards, but standing across from them, the United States wouldn't even need to mobilize its full power. A limited intervention could include an aircraft carrier strike group with F-35s and F/A-18s, several Arleigh Burke-class destroyers, submarines lurking beneath the waves, P-8 Poseidon maritime patrol aircraft, MQ-9 Reapers circling the skies, Marine regimental combat teams ready for raids, and of course, the full spectrum of electronic warfare, logistics, and intelligence. The asymmetry is staggering. Here's where the first clash of perspectives emerges. Venezuela's strategy would rely heavily on numbers and on geography. Thousands of militia fighters scattered in urban jungles, artillery hidden in valleys, manpads waiting in ambush, drones buzzing like angry bees, cheap and expendable. The goal? To frustrate, to harass, to buy time. Meanwhile, the U.S. would counter with the exact opposite approach: precision, stealth, and speed. A single AIM-120D fired from an F-35 can strike at 180 kilometers. A Tomahawk cruise missile from an Arleigh Burke costs $1.5 million, but can eliminate an ammunition depot hidden in the mountains. Here is the controversy. Is it sustainable for America to spend millions of dollars to destroy targets worth only thousands? Or does that imbalance even matter when the U.S. has a defense budget that dwarfs the GDP of Venezuela? Now let's step through the likely phases of such a confrontation. Phase 1. The opening gambit. Within 72 hours, the U.S. would establish a maritime and aerial cordon around Venezuela. Carrier jets and destroyer-launched missiles would target radar sites, communication hubs, and any coastal missile batteries. The MQ-9 Reaper and P-8 Poseidon would sweep the skies, hunting for Venezuelan patrol boats or mobile SAMs. Washington wouldn't commit to a full amphibious invasion. Instead, this would be about surgical strikes, denying Caracas the ability to escalate. But Venezuela would not remain silent. Their coastal missile batteries, perhaps 4 to 8 in total, would try to fire back at U.S. ships, exploiting geography and concealment. A lucky hit could damage or even sink a frigate or destroyer. Drones would be launched in swarms, probing U.S. positions, trying to strike fuel depots or logistics convoys. In propaganda terms, even a small success would be portrayed as a major victory. But how much of this is reality, and how much is illusion? Could those few missiles really break through Aegis defenses and the multi-layer shield of SM-2, SM-6, and CIWS? History suggests the odds are slim. Phase 2. The local response. In the first weeks, militia fighters would spread across Caracas, Maracaibo, and coastal towns, preparing ambushes and digging in. Venezuelan Su-30s and aging F-16s might scramble, but their numbers are too low, and their radars too dated to match American AWACS coordination. The American jets would see them first, shoot them first, and eliminate them before they even knew what hit them. Still, the Su-30s carry long-range missiles like the R-77. Could one lucky shot change the narrative? Perhaps. And here lies another question. In modern air combat, does luck still matter when one side dominates with stealth, data links, and electronic warfare? Phase 3. The long game. Imagine the conflict dragging into 1 to 3 months. Venezuela is still resisting, but by now stockpiles are running thin. UAVs are still buzzing, militias are still ambushing. But the American ISR machine is relentless. Satellites, drones, AWACS, all scanning, all striking. The U.S. can sustain operations indefinitely. Venezuela, isolated and under sanctions, would struggle. Yet, the longer it drags on, the more the costs shift. Not just in dollars, but in politics. Would Washington tolerate the expense of hunting scattered militias, the daily drone strikes, the possibility of U.S. casualties? Here is the paradox. Militarily, America dominates. Politically, the equation is never that simple. Now let's compare roles directly, because this is where the tension sharpens. Venezuela's manpads and short-range SAMs could threaten low-flying aircraft. But the U.S. doesn't fight low and slow anymore. SEAD operations, electronic jamming, and standoff weapons tilt the advantage firmly American. Venezuela's coastal missiles might keep U.S. ships at a respectful distance, but Tomahawks and carrier aircraft can hit from even farther. Artillery, armor, and patrol boats? They look powerful in a parade, but crumble against smart bombs and naval gunfire. Only drones and militias offer asymmetric headaches, cheap weapons that force expensive responses. And this brings us to the central dilemma: cost versus effect. One UAV worth $30,000 can force the launch of an interceptor missile worth millions. One militia ambush can delay a convoy for days. One coastal missile, even if destroyed before launch, forces the U.S. to allocate surveillance, CID sorties, and strike missions. Is that enough to call it a victory for Caracas? Or is it simply tactical irritation against a strategic reality, where the United States still holds every major card? Beyond weapons, the bigger factor is endurance. Venezuela's 6 to 12 months of supplies sound impressive, but how long before fuel runs short, before spare parts for old Su-30s run out, before drone components can no longer be imported? America, by contrast, can flow reinforcements from Puerto Rico, Florida, and beyond. And then comes the wild card: outside support. Would China or Russia quietly send intelligence, spare parts, or even drones? That possibility alone makes Washington nervous. But how much difference would it really make on the battlefield? In the end, the payoff is clear. Venezuela, even under the most favorable assumptions, can frustrate, delay, and impose costs. They can make the fight longer, more complicated, and more expensive. They can score propaganda victories and turn every American missile strike into a news headline. But can they actually deny the United States control of the Caribbean skies and seas? Almost certainly not. The U.S. network of carriers, destroyers, AWACS, tankers, and stealth aircraft is overwhelming. The question isn't whether America can win. It is how much it is willing to pay in time, resources, and political capital. So here's the thought to leave you with. Wars today are not just about firepower, but about sustainability and perception. A Tomahawk may destroy a target, But at what cost? A drone may buzz over a U.S. convoy, but does it change the grand strategy? And the biggest question, is Venezuela's local defense a true deterrent, or just an illusion of resistance in the face of overwhelming power? Now, over to you. Do you think political will matters more than weaponry in conflicts like this? Could local defense and cheap drones really challenge America's technological edge? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dive analysis into the weapons and strategies shaping our world today.